Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a case that honestly feels like something straight out of a spy novel. But this happened for real in Busan, South Korea.
Yeah, it's quite the story.
We're looking at two individuals just identified as A and B. They
Mm.
ran illegal massage businesses, and their attempt to evade law enforcement was, well, audacious doesn't quite cover it, does it?
Not really, no. It was remarkably bold. We're talking May and June of 2019. These two actually put GPS tracking devices, literally stuck them onto the vehicles of the Ministry of Justice's Busan Immigration Office, the Special Enforcement Team's cars.
Wait, the actual immigration enforcement vehicle?
The very ones. Think about that for a second. They were tracking the people whose job it was to, you know, crack down on exactly what they were doing. Illegal employment.
So this goes way beyond just hiding. This is active counter surveillance almost,
Yeah.
using pretty standard tech, right?
Yeah.
B bought the trackers.
That's right. B purchased them in Busan, in the Suyun district, and then A, the other owner, did the installation.
And where did A put them? Not exactly easy access, I imagine.
Well, apparently easy enough. Right there in the immigration office parking lot, A secretly fixed them onto the metal part, kind of near the spare tire, under the official vehicle.
Wow. Okay. And the goal was clear then.
Oh, absolutely. Track the officials' movements, figure out their patterns, avoid raids, specifically related to cracking down on their illegal hiring of foreign workers.
And they kept this going for a while.
They did. They used a GPS-based smartphone app, standard stuff, and kept tracking continuously until early February 2020. So was that like 8, 9 months?
That persistence is something else. Nearly a year, basically under the radar.
It is, and the court definitely noticed the nerve involved. But interestingly, the judge also called their methods. Well, the phrase was poor quality of the crime.
Poor quality. What does that mean in this context? Like sloppy?
Sort of.
Huh?
Given its purpose, its circumstances, it wasn't exactly a sophisticated, high-tech plot. It was daring, sure, but maybe a bit crude, using off-the-shelf tech for such a direct, obvious purpose.
Ah, okay. Bold, but not exactly subtle.
Exactly. Still, the court stressed how serious any obstruction of public duty is. You know, the need for strict action to uphold the law and stop any disrespect for public authority.
Right, you can't just let people track law enforcement no matter how they do it. So what was the actual sentence then, considering that poor quality aspect?
They received a suspended sentence, 1 year and 2 months in prison, but suspended for 2 years.
Meaning they don't go to jail unless they mess up again within those 2 years.
Precisely. Plus 120 hours of community service. And naturally, the two GPS trackers were confiscated.
What led to the suspension? Was it just the poor quality?
That might have played a small part maybe in assessing the overall threat level, but the main things mentioned were that they admitted everything. They confessed, and crucially, they'd actually stopped using the tracking data back in late 2019, even before they were caught in 2020.
Ah, interesting. So they gave it up themselves before the end.
Seems that way. So the court balanced the need to condemn the act with, the fact they cooperated and had already ceased the activity.
Okay, so stepping back, what does this case really tell us? What's the takeaway for you listening? It's more than just a weird crime story about illegal businesses, right?
Definitely. It's a really stark example of how accessible technology, stuff anyone can buy, can be used for, well, for surveillance.
Yeah.
Even against the government.
And the kind of surveillance that used to feel like, spy movie stuff.
Exactly. And it shows how the justice system has to adapt, has to respond when its own authority is challenged in these new tech-enabled ways.
It really highlights that ongoing battle, doesn't it? The sort of cat and mouse game.
It really does, between those trying to skirt the rules and the authorities trying to enforce them.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating, I think, is how this game is just amplified now by cheap, easy-to-use tech like these GPS trackers.
Yeah. It wasn't some mastermind plan, but it worked for quite a while.
Right. A brazen, maybe not brilliant, but effective for a time operation. It kind of challenges what we assume about both crime and enforcement.
Yeah. So maybe the final thought for you, our listener, is about this line. Where do we draw the line between gathering information, which happens all the time, and illegal surveillance?
Especially when the tools are so common. And how does this easy access to tracking tech change how we think about privacy or even about public authority when it's turned back on official functions like this? It's something to really think about in our connected world.